federal appeals court handed a victory to the state of Texas today. It upheld that state's law banning sanctuary cities and allowing the state to comply with federal law. The law threatened officials with jail if they refused to cooperate with federal immigration authorities. Meanwhile, 9 immigrants have sued the administration over its decision to revoke temporary protected status for several countries. The status is supposed to provide short-term deportation relief from those who've arrived from dangerous places. Thousands have lived here for decades under that status, not temporarily. Now, those people say that removing their status would be racist. Lee Gellern is Deputy Director of the ACLU's Immigrants' Rights Project, and he joins us from New York. Hey, Lee, thanks for coming on. As I understand it, you're upset that Texas is following federal law?
We are not upset that Texas is following federal law. We don't think Texas is actually following federal law. That's one of our claims. What we are concerned about is that the Trump administration is now going to have localities enforcing immigration law. These are not trained individuals. They don't always want to do it. They don't have the resources to do it. And I think one myth is that they're not doing it when there's serious criminals in their localities. They were doing it with serious criminals, but what they don't want to do is become regular immigration agents going after people whose visas have expired.
But why would it be? I know we've sort of taken this off the table as a culture, as a sort of cable TV world, but like if someone's here illegally, why shouldn't anybody who's here illegally be subject to deportation?
Well, I don't think that's the question. I think the question is...
Well, no, but I know that's never the question, but can we just ask it really quickly? Is that a crazy idea? There are 11 million people here-ish, probably more, we don't really know, but who aren't allowed to be here. They've overstayed or they've snuck in. So why would it be out of hand to say, that's the law. If you don't like the law, change the law. But as the law stands, you got to leave, like now. Would that be bad?
Right. I mean, we are not saying that there should be open borders, but we do think people should have an individualized determination because many of those people do have a right to stay. So, for example, there are people from Iraq who have been here a long time. Now, the Trump administration wants to remove them and says, well, you have a final order. Well, it's clear they're Chaldean Christians. It's clear they're going to be tortured if sent back. So we're just asking for more time so they can present a motion for relief so that they won't be tortured. So those are a lot of the 11 million people we're talking about.
Well, no, that's not. I'm sorry. I know you're a lawyer. I know something about this. That's not a lot of the 11 million people. They're not all Chaldean Christians. I might support them if they were, but they're not. But I just want to get, because you're an ACLU lawyer, the number 2 guy on the project. You're kind of at the center of this debate.
Right.
How would you feel about it if a state, Iowa, for example, Steve King's state, said, you know what, it's against federal law to be here. Everybody who's here, everyone working at the hog plant who's not here legally has to leave. Would the ACLU challenge that?
Look, what we would challenge is a lack of due process for people. And so if you're just picking them up and removing them without any individualized hearing, we would challenge that. But just to get back to the Texas law that you wanted me to talk about, I think the danger there is that localities, autonomy is being usurped. And so we lost in the appeals court, but critically, that was on the face of the statute. And what the appeals court made clear is we should come back and challenge the implementation of the law if we see anything wrong. And I think people ought to be on the lookout for a few things. One is that Texas made a concession during the litigation that the Fifth Circuit accepted, which is that if a locality can't do the cooperation because of a resource constraint, then they shouldn't be forced to do it. So we're concerned that the Trump administration is going to be pushing localities to do it regardless of resources. So we will be looking at whether Texas complies with that. We'll also be looking at whether local officials actually know how to enforce immigration.
Okay, but may I just ask one quick question?
Right.
Again, not a lawyer, but I mean, you're in New York. Texas is its own state, no longer a republic, but still a state. And if they decide that they want to do this, who are you to say that they shouldn't be allowed to?
Right. Well, it's not me individually, right? We are
the ACLU.
No, but I mean, I think that's an important point. I didn't mean me individually. I meant the ACLU, right? I mean, we are representing police chiefs, sheriffs, mayors down there. And so let me just give you an example. One of our plaintiffs is the sheriff of Maverick County. He was Border Patrol for 25 years, then became the sheriff of Maverick County. He's not against enforcing immigration law, but what he is against is having his police force co-opted so that if it's not a dangerous criminal, he doesn't want to have to use his resources to go after a visa violator.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to take that seriously, but thank you. Thank you for the explanation. I appreciate it. Well, a college student agreed with the vast majority of people over the vast majority of human history and stuck with the biological answer. Only 2 genders, he said. He was kicked out of class for that. He joins us next to tell us what happened.